Welcome to Communing with Divine, a podcast where I share my spiritual quest and the lessons and the insights that I've received from many divine beings and energies during meditation. I am your host, Meraki. Now, let's begin. Hello and welcome. Welcome to episode 16 of Communing with Divine, and I'm so happy and so honored that you're here. I'm just going to start straight away and get right into it. October the 4th, 2022. I'm speaking to what most people refer to as their higher self. We're talking about awareness of self, trust in divine, and allowing the divine to communicate with us, to teach us, and to lead us without resisting and trying to control the interaction and the information. My higher self is explaining what is necessary to achieve this. It seems that an open heart is necessary, belief and trust, and again, allowing versus controlling. This is coming up again and again because it's important. My higher self is saying that control is a byproduct of fear, and fear stands in the way. Fear is the great barrier to love, and love is the energy that most of us use in our human form to connect with divine. We all hold fear energy in various forms, in multiple forms, and this acts as a barrier to connecting with divine. We have fears that we won't be heard, fears that we won't be able to connect, fears that we're not worthy to receive, etc., etc. But we are all worthy, all of us. For we are all a part of the same divine energy that we look to connect with. So it's not possible for us not to connect or to be heard or to receive because we are all one. We can't be ignored or rejected. It's only that we hold this fear energy that convinces us through illusion, through false thoughts and negative emotions that we can't or that we won't. And when this goes unchecked, fear becomes an overriding force in our lives. It separates us from ourselves. It separates us from each other. And it separates us from divine, from the all. But this separation is a myth. It's an illusion. It's a lie. This is what plagues most of us. This could be called the madness of humanity, and this madness varies based on what degree each of us hold that fear and allow it to control our lives. To what degree we allow this illusion that is the lie, that is fear, to become our personal obscured truth. I'm being shown something to help me better understand. I can see someone who's underwater, and they're swimming and they're holding their breath. They're looking left and right. They're searching. They're searching for the surface. They're searching for air. But I can see that they're swimming in the wrong direction. Their fear has separated them from all reason. Their fear has caused them to run from what they are searching for, from what they need to sustain themselves. Their fear causes them to go further and further from their salvation, down deeper and deeper. The more they swim the wrong way, the more afraid and disoriented they become, the more panicked. They act out more and more from the fear. And this escalating fear causes them to make more wrong decisions, and they put more distance between themselves and what they seek. They are so deep now that they despair and they give up. I can see them in this place, desperate, alone, and afraid. And as they give up, they find themselves almost beyond fear. As they accept and stop trying to control the situation, they begin to float upwards towards the surface. The water is rendering them assistance now that this person is no longer fighting and struggling against it. Unfortunately, with this person, the minute help is given, they panic because the assistance they are receiving is not following the direction that they believe is the right way. And so fear rises up again, and they doggedly swim back down towards the seabed. They are resisting the help that they are being given and afforded by the water. They are resisting exactly what they desperately sought: salvation. What is even more strange to observe and to experience through this person is that they come to feel safer in this place of confusion and fear, even as they feel unsafe, even though they are scared and feel alone, because it is a place that has become familiar to them. And it's a place where they exist in a state of perceived control. And so they do all that they can to remain in that spot. And by doing so, they resist the help that is being freely and naturally given to them, and that would result in their salvation. Fear brought them to the place that they find themselves in, and fear keeps them there. But if they would release the fear and they would stop fighting what is natural and allow, they would float effortlessly to the air, to the surface. Fear in all of its forms is like a heavy weight weighing this person down, weighing all of us down. If we release those weights that we have been building and we have been carrying throughout our lives, those weights that we have accepted from other people as well as those that we have created ourselves, if we would just release them, we would float effortlessly to that which we seek. Like the water in the example that I was shown, the energy of the divine, of the all itself, is everywhere. It surrounds us and passes through us. It is us, but we resist it through fear and we create illusory and false barriers. But all it takes is to trust and to allow, and the fear would fall away. We would breathe easily again and feel the proverbial sun on our faces. It is all so easy and so simple. It's so natural, and yet we make it so hard. It's quite remarkable to see it in the way that it's been shown to me. I hope that I've been able to describe it and explain it well enough to honor what was shared with me, with all of you. The sages Balthazar and Melchior have stepped forward. They're smiling at me. They say wisdom is seeping in, and they indicate that this is happening despite my best efforts. Sometimes they're just hilarious. October the 11th, 2022. Now, before I get into this particular experience in meditation, I just want to say that I do meditate every day. But you may notice that the dates that I read out sometimes skip ahead, sometimes by quite a bit. I know I've mentioned this before, but I think I should reiterate again that there are many reasons for this. Sometimes it's because I sit with the divine and I just feel and connect, and nothing is said or shown to me. Other times, my sessions are only for me, or they're refining things that I've already shared with all of you. And finally, there are meditations where I receive healings and adjustments, and I don't think this podcast is the right platform for sharing these things. So as I've said before, my plan is to record these healings as meditations so that people who are interested in experiencing them for themselves can do so whenever they're ready. So I hope that this clarifies any confusion and answers any questions that you may have had about why the timeline sometimes skips forward. All right, so back to October the 11th, 2022. I've just had an unusual experience that led to insight that I found amazing. I was walking up the stairs in my house, and the next thing I was also experiencing being within the bubble that is my theater of experience, my universe, where I create and experience this reality. And as I continued to walk up the stairs, my whole bubble universe was moving with me. I was in the center of this little bubble universe, and it's moving with me as I'm walking up the stairs. And as I was experiencing this, I became aware of another bubble or universe that was behind me, and it appeared to be moving with me as well. So this was also perplexing. It was as if these two theaters of experiences, mine and this other one, were attached or moving through this space together. And as I said before about my bubble universe, there is this diaphanous, semi-permeable covering around it. It's like a cell wall, and these were touching. I'm not sure if they were attached to each other per se, but they were touching very, very closely and they were moving together. I can't see anyone within this universe, but perhaps it's not for me to see. The awareness that it existed and is touching mine seems to be what's important and is what I'm supposed to understand. So I decided to walk into my room where I meditate to see if more will come to me. While these universes are touching, it seems to me that they are not open to one another, but they are not fully closed off either. This is why I use the example of the semi-permeable walls of a cell. It appears that certain things can be allowed in, and others can be let out. Semi-permeable means that certain things can get through, and I think that this is important to understand. Because what I'm being shown is, what I am understanding is, that this semi-permeable covering allows things to enter based on things such as our personal choices, familial and other larger group associations, should we choose to accept them. And the greater one of the experiences of humanity, again, should we choose to accept and participate in these experiences. What will we allow to permeate the cell wall that contains our theater of experience? What will we allow to enter into our universes and affect our experience of this reality? I am asking Divine for some insight, but I'm being told, consider it. Consider it. Divine wants me to figure this out by myself to the best of my abilities, because as I consider it, I'll open myself up to them more, and my ability to connect clearly with Divine and understand all that they share with me will improve exponentially. So this is being offered to me as an opportunity to grow. I feel that this universe behind me is another person's universe with whom I am very close, and with whom I've formed a deep connection with. And this connection is why our universes are touching, and also why there is some level of porousness between them. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. If you think about blowing bubbles, you know where you blow those tiny little bubbles and they all stick together and they form a bigger bubble or cluster? Those would be sort of like each of our universes and each of our little realities. They touch, but each of them have their own walls and they retain their own form. And so each bubble or universe are our own, and yet they're also part of a bigger thing. They create a cluster as they come together to form one form. All the little bubbles come together, and so they are both separate and one. I hope that image helps. So if we go back to our universal bubbles, where we create our experiences, they aren't just linked to one another, they can also affect each other through the semi-permeable membrane to varying degrees and depending on what we choose to allow to enter and affect our experienced reality. For example, if something that happens in a bubble, let's just say 100,000 bubbles away from me, it can still affect me if I choose, because all the bubbles touch. And that information in the form of energy is transferable. What happens within any of these bubbles that are the theater of experience of other people can affect us directly or indirectly to a greater or to a lesser degree. The closer the bubble is to you, the closer the connection or relationship is. And so the more likely you are to be affected and to share the energetic resonance of the experiences and the created reality of the individual whose bubble it is. And usually, but not always, the further away a bubble is from you, the lesser the chances are that you will allow and experience the effects of the energetic resonance of that person. However, with the internet, our associations have expanded and become more instant. And so we may accept these energetic resonances with less awareness and faster speed, it seems. Do keep in mind that whether a theater of experience is touching ours or very distant, in the end, we are all connected. All of our bubbles touch directly or indirectly, so we must be sure that we remain aware and conscious of our choices of what we create and what we allow in that affect our experiences of reality. Another important thing that I'm being shown is that the closeness or the distance of bubbles from one another can shift. and they can shift almost instantaneously. I'm being shown bubbles shifting at rapid speed so that they are no longer touching or close to the bubbles that they had been before. And this is brought about by choices and affords a different experience to us, sometimes dramatically different. It's actually fun to watch them. These little bubble cells of our theaters of experience slipping effortlessly past one another to create new associations. It's very dynamic and interesting to watch as they slip and slide past one another. And some retain contact with the bubbles that they were with. In other words, they shift positions together as a clump, so to speak. And this is representative of groups of people shifting their experiences together to a greater or to a lesser degree. It's really very interesting. I'm understanding that all of our universes are within one large void that I refer to as grandfather void. So I describe my universe and me being this in the center of it, of my little orb or bubble of reality, which is floating within the void. I wasn't physically seeing anyone else before now. We all sit in the center of our universes, which are contained within a semi-permeable barrier or membrane. Little orbs touching one another, shifting spaces as we change our experience of reality, floating within the void from where we suddenly came into consciousness. October 12th, 2022. Divine is speaking with me about the importance of connecting and communing with the all that we are a part of. They are emphasizing that it's important that people understand that it is natural for us to have a continuous and conscious connection and communication with Divine. That is our natural state of being. The false and illusory barriers that are erected by fear, ego, and taught misbeliefs that plague us, those are what is unnatural. Divine is saying to me, you must share this in whatever way that you can. This message is for everyone, but especially for average people like me, people who aren't scholars or spiritual gurus or who dedicate themselves to a life of religious devotion. This is a message that is especially for people who are just experiencing life and trying to navigate it. People who are trying to understand how to connect with Divine or God, the universe, the source, in an easy, straightforward, and natural way. In a way that's attainable for them and natural to them so that they can partake in the completeness that is the connection to the all. There are so many people who are just like myself, who just want to be able to activate their awareness of their ever-present and unbroken connection to Divine, to the all that is. To remember, to experience being home, even momentarily, while still engaging in this conscious reality. And it can be done because it is the more natural way of things. It is as it should be. Now, I would never claim that I have the answers as to how to do this that works for everyone. I'm just being told that I have to share that it can be done and that it can be done easily. But as I've said before, and as I will reiterate over and over, there is no right way. There is your way, a way that works for you. We are all unique expressions of the Divine, of the all, and we should embrace and honor our uniqueness and the uniqueness of others. What I will do is share what I do in case it speaks to you, and if it doesn't, then just ignore it. The way that I meditate when I connect with Divine is very basic. In fact, it's so basic that you'll probably find it boring and unimpressive. There are no candles required. I don't burn incense. There's no ceremony, no chanting or movement. As I've said before, these are all wonderful things to use and to employ if they speak to you, and if they bring you to the place you want to be so that you can awaken your connection. But they are not necessary, and they shouldn't be necessary, especially if they become a crutch, and without them you feel cast adrift or unable to connect with Divine. Ceremony in all of its forms is amazingly powerful in that it helps people to set their intentions and to focus their mind and their energy towards a specific purpose. And so ceremony can be invaluable. And I have to say that there was a time when I did employ ceremony, and I used crystals and talismans. I burned incense. I used sound. I cleared the space that I was in, and then I protected myself with ceremonies and things of the physical world. I felt that I needed these things, and so I did need them. But as time passed, I found that for the type of work I'm doing, these things were not necessary. Asking divine for protection and help was all that was required. Again, let me emphasize two things. The first is that, as I said, the work that I'm doing does not require any protection other than the ones that divine provides for me, because the work that I'm doing is not dangerous and it's not pushing boundaries in any way. I'm not casting spells or conjuring anything. I'm not working with people doing energy healing or attunements, where I may need protection from the lower energies and the attachments that people may bring in around me. Every energetic level or dimension that I explore, I am brought to by those who stand with me and protect me. Every new being that I meet must come through the circle of beings and energies who stand around me. And so I have complete trust and feel safe at all times, no matter what occurs. The second is that I do not need ceremony or things of this physical world to protect me, because I do not believe that I need them. I have no fear of not employing anything like what I've mentioned before. And this means that they are not necessary. I'm sure that if the situation should ever change, the ones who walk with me, the divine, will let me know clearly and definitively. So this is what works for me, but it may not work for anyone listening based on the work that you may be doing and what you believe in. To each their own, always. Follow what feels right to you and don't pay attention to my process. My point is not to discourage anyone from employing ceremony to activate their awareness of their connection to divine. I would never do that. I only mention this because I have found that often fear or the concern that people have that they are not employing the right ceremony or the right steps can often interfere with their ability to activate this connection that was always available to them and is in fact a part of them. So much energy can be expended and fears awakened that can trigger a never-ending quest for the right way or the right answer. Fear and its companion, doubt, are not anyone's friend, especially in this. Everyone should connect in any way that feels right to them, because the only right way is the one that you believe is the right way. Think of children and infants, little babies. They have an active and innate awareness of their connection to the divine. You could say that children are online always. And they use none of the props, rituals, or ceremonies that we adults require. They're just connected, always. And they seamlessly float between interacting with this reality and interacting with the all. And sometimes they do both simultaneously. And babies and children can do this because they don't doubt, they don't question. There is no fear or illusion of a true separation. And so the separation does not exist. Their interaction with both this physical awareness and the all just is. It exists. Now, I'm not talking about fully losing an awareness of self or a complete merging with the all. I'm not talking about entering the void or merging with it. Of course, to achieve this often requires trials, time, and a situational and a ceremonial component. I'm just talking about activating a conscious daily connection to bring in insight, healing, and guidance. A communing with divine. I'm a very simple person. I do things in a very simple and straightforward way. Most of the time, I don't go too deep when I meditate for this podcast for practical reasons. I have to be able to speak clearly to capture the experiences and the interactions so that I can record them and then share them with all of you. This was my directive from divine. So during my meditations, I make sure not to enter too deep of a state. I'm able to be fairly focused and aware, and so I can observe clearly and ask questions. I can understand what divine tells me and shows me. And in this state, I can actively retain what is being communicated and shown to me, instead of having it stored in my energy fields that is harder to access. The information that I receive is very present, and I'm very aware of it. I usually don't do a lot of ceremony. I'm not a ceremonial person. It doesn't come naturally to me, and it seems, at least now, I don't need it. I just sit down. I ask for protection and clarity of communication, and then I start. I usually just close my eyes, as I said, and pop up into the center of my universe. I welcome and I thank those who are around me, and I begin. That's it. And what comes to me comes. Now, I visualize my universe as such. It's an oval area like a bubble. It's dark, and the points of light are all of the beings who are with me. But yours doesn't have to look that way, and I believe I covered that in another episode. You can construct your universe, your theater of experience, to be whatever works for you, whatever speaks to you. There is no right way. And you can surround yourself and call in anyone or any kind of energies that you want to surround yourself with. And then you just begin. Sit quietly. Ask a question and see what comes. And what comes will come, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. The clearer the communication, the more smoothly it flows to you, and the more clarity you receive it with. Okay, so you may wonder why I ask for protection and clarity. I ask for protection because I know that I have fears lurking around within me that I may be unaware of. My ego is still active, weaving ridiculous thoughts that are not based in truth. And I am human, and so I carry a wide array of energetic vibrations based on how I feel or the experiences that I may have had recently. All of these things can foster or trigger a low vibrating energy that may confuse or interfere with the clarity of the communication, and so I ask for help. But other than that, I'm pretty easy about connecting and also disconnecting should events in this reality unexpectedly require it. So if something interrupts me or requires my immediate attention when I'm in this state of meditation, I just get up and I deal with it. Then I sit back down, and when I sit back down, I'm able to go right back to where I was, right back to where I left off. I'm extremely blessed in that I can do that. But part of the reason for this ability is that it has never occurred to me that I couldn't or shouldn't be able to connect instantly and easily with the divine, or to pop right back and return to the exact place where I left off when I disconnected. It's only when other people expressed surprise that this was possible that I understood that because our perception of what is possible was different, our realities and our experiences were different. Remember that space and time are constructs of this reality, and therefore they have no relevance in other dimensions or in terms of the divine. The divine and other dimensions and other beings and energy beings are not shackled by these things. But if you choose to impose the limitations and constructs of this reality onto others, then this is what you will experience. You will project your assumptions onto them, and those assumptions will limit you in every way. It's a self-imposed limitation and nothing more. We all have the innate ability to connect. We are a miracle of creation where spirit meets form. Think about that, for that is truth. We are a miracle of creation where spirit meets form. The energy that is our true self is always connected to divine because it is a part of divine. It is a part of all that is. But we have accepted the false belief that we are separated from each other and from the divine. We are not. We are connected, live and in real time. And we don't need ceremony, props, intermediaries, or anything outside of ourselves to connect because we are already connected. We just need the awareness of that connection to be activated. Because we are all part of all that exists. And we just need to acknowledge this and accept this truth without fear. Again, look at children. They have an innate knowing that is related to their open connection to divine. And we discount them. We dismiss them. And we spend most of their childhood telling them that everything they know, see, and experience is not true. We literally disconnect them through our own misbeliefs and our own fears that have been spawned by ego and this great illusion of separation. It's tragic, really. As adults, most of us are kind of on the level of tapping rocks together in a sort of Morse code to attempt to communicate with divine. And yet, we have the audacity to correct children on what is real and what is not, and advise them as to how they should connect to the all. And by doing this, we train our children out of their natural and innate connection, or awareness of their connection with divine. We say things like, "You can't see angels," or "Grandma who just passed away." "You can't hear singing, or see lights, or earth energies. You're making that up. Stop lying. That's just your imagination." And as we remove and dissolve this true ability, we basically hand them the spiritual equivalent of a couple of rocks, and we tell them to start tapping. Most of us don't mean harm. It's not meant to be cruel. We think that we're helping them or correcting them. Some people think that they're saving their children. And for the most part, it comes from ignorance and fear and misbeliefs. So instead of learning from our children, we continue to enforce a way of doing things, of perceiving things that comes from systems of belief that have caused great harm because they do not reflect truth. But whether or not the intention is well placed, it's still tragic because this was probably done to us. And it's probably, most probably, why so many of us are walking around feeling alone, confused, and separated from something we know is everything, but we just don't know how to access it. We live with a perceived emptiness that is an illusion and that we ache to fill. And fear and ego are more than happy to do that for us, to fill that spot. And they make it easy. But we can change this for ourselves and for our children by activating our awareness of our connection to divine, to the all, by accepting it as truth, as our birthright. By recognizing the energy that is our true self is divine. And because of this, we are one with divine. And even if we can only hold it for a short while, we need to bring this awareness into our conscious reality in a real and applied way every day. And soon it will just become a part of our reality, of our daily existence. And we will feel home again, and we will know our connection is live and real. I want to thank you all so much for listening today and for joining me. And I just wish you all the best day. And I hope that you'll join me for episode 17. You are all so appreciated by me, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for listening, and I'll see you soon.